Hey guys, welcome back.
Hope you all are well.
It's great to be back here again.
So today we're going to be debating whether or not Belle, the Disney princess, has Stockholm Syndrome, and this will include the original and the remake.
So Stockholm Syndrome, the definition from the Cambridge Dictionary, is the situation when a person who has been taken prisoner starts to like or trust a person or people who have taken them. There are three characteristics. The hostages have negative feelings about the police or other authorities. They have positive feelings towards their captors, or the captors develop positive feelings toward the hostages.
So Emily is against Belle having Stockholm Syndrome and Grace is for. Enjoy the rest of the video.
Right. My first point is that Belle actually chooses to remain in the castle. She willingly agreed to be the Beast's prisoner in order to save her father. So she was not even forced. It was her own choice. In fact, even Belle actually made the offer herself to the Beast. So the Beast says, "There's nothing you can do. He's my prisoner." And then Belle goes, "Oh, there must be some way I can wait. Take me instead." So it's actually her own choice. So it's not like she was forced. So she's not really. She did it of her own choice. I get that it's for her. She did it to save her father, but it was her own choice.
That is true, yes. But if I may say, if I have to say that she did had Stockholm Syndrome. Is that how you pronounce it? Stockholm Syndrome? All right. Then she did a brave sacrifice, taking her father's place, which I really admire her for that. Just shows strength and courage. But one thing you need to remember is that when the Beast was deciding to give her the offer, he actually intended to use her to break the curse, because when she was offering herself to take his place, he had a questionable look in that scene, and then he thought about it and he thought, this could be it. She could be the woman that he was going to use to break the curse. And I know you're shaking his head thinking, no, that's not right. But
yeah, no, it wasn't the Beast's idea. It's Lumiere who actually says it. He's like, she could be the one to break that curse. The Beast doesn't actually think about it at all. He's only obsessed with that rose, or the guy coming in and staying in the castle uninvited. That's not his first thought at all. Oh my gosh, she could be the one to break the curse. That's not his first thought. That is Lumiere's first thought. And then Lumiere mentions it to him and he's like, you might have a point there. But then it actually did grow out to be love.
When they said that after Belle has exchanged her freedom, and when the film onwards, the film becomes more focused on their relationship, how they started to lower the guards down, how they became more open to each other. Belle offered to help him read more books, or Beast let her to his library. And again, it's really cute and romantic. But at the beginning, she was standing up for herself. At the beginning, where he asked her for dinner, he was rude, he was cruel, he was very violent. And also when she went to the West Wing, and he approached her and he was mashing things, he scared the hell out of her, and he's a violent creature, and that's the reason why she ran away. But when he saved her from the wolves, she started to see a good side. And this is not kind of reason, but that's kind of a show how she's feeling more, giving a more positive feeling towards her capture.
So you said she noticed that he was changing, and I agree. She saw that, she could see that he was becoming nicer, he was changing. He wasn't that fierce guy, that violent guy before. So what I got here is that Stockholm Syndrome develops without the hostage really knowing, and it's involuntary. But in the song, in Something There, she actually sees that she actually sees that her own attitude is changing and she questions it. So I'm just gonna, I mean, it's gonna sound weird, me speaking the lyrics, but
I think
right.
you
Oh
Just
no.
sing it, sing
Mm-mm.
it.
No. Someone else can sing it if they want, but I'm not singing it. Right. There's something sweet and almost kind, but he was mean and he was coarse and unrefined. And now he's dear and so unsure. I wonder why I didn't see it there before. So
It's
she's
like you're
actually
speaking a
saying,
poem.
I mean, so actually we can actually see that, she's actually seeing that there's actually something sweet, about him. There's something, he's actually changed. And she's actually going, well, what's going on? How has he changed? Like, it's not the guy I knew before. And then she goes on to say, new and a bit alarming. Who'd have ever thought that this could be? True that he's no Prince Charming, but there's something in him that I simply didn't see. So she sees that he's actually changed, and she knows that her own attitude has changed, and like she's still not 100% like comfortable with him. She's still a little wary. She's like, you know, this is good and all, but he could flip, So by that, by the song that she sings, and then her whole attitude changes and all of that, and what she sees herself, we can see that she's not actually displaying any signs of Stockholm syndrome. In fact, actually, an argument could be made that the beast is actually showing signs of Lima syndrome, which is when the abductor sympathizes with the hostage. So we can actually see that he's actually, he's like, she's actually getting lonely, she needs to get around, spend some time with other people, like instead of just being locked in her room, even though he does say afterwards, you can have a look. He shows you the library, So we can see that Belle's positive feelings to the beast only happens when the beast is actually nicer to her. It doesn't happen before. It only happens when the beast is nicer to her. So, yeah.
So I mean that even when Belle seemed happy, like all the dancing or the libraries or the books reading, she was still like a prisoner in there because he still trapped her in the castle.
Yeah, she is a prisoner. I agree. She is a prisoner. But what I'm saying is, I think this is not the definition of a prisoner is like you're trapped. You have no freedom. But I don't know if we could accurately say she was a prisoner. Like, of course, she is a prisoner. She's not allowed to step out of the castle or its grounds. But in terms of actually the castle and stuff, she actually has freedom. When we think of like a prisoner in jail, we think of like, the being the bars and they're like stuck behind it and there's only like a little room. But actually, I feel like she has a bit more space. I mean, at first, he does put her in that room and he's like, like stay in there,
So the beast has to offer her everything she wants: a library, like a castle. But maybe she didn't want the castle, but he gave her like places to explore. And that's what we hear from Belle at the beginning. She wanted adventure. She wanted something new to explore. And the beast offered that. He kind of woos her into offering her these kind of like stuff that she desires. And that's what gives her more of a friendly, like a more positive, like again, a positive feeling towards him. Like you said, he has changed, maybe for the better, but this is kind of like, these are kind of like things that kind of make her want to stay. So yes, she's not, she's staying from her own free will, but only because he's offering her things that are luring her to that option.
So you're saying that because of all the stuff that the beast offers, she has Stockholm syndrome because of that.
That's kind of how I'm kind of getting from.
Okay. Right, okay, I'll go.
You got another
so,
point or should I go?
Yeah. Oh, I'm ready, okay? Don't worry about it. I got enough points here.
So,
Okay.
okay.
Right, okay. I'm gonna sorry, should I go? You go?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so just bouncing off what you just said, that she's kind of like, you know, enjoying herself at the castle. No, I don't think she's enjoying that, you know, she's enjoying to get to know the different people in the castle. She's getting to know the Beast and seeing that his attitude is changing, you know, she's seeing a nicer side to him. But she still wants to leave the castle. That ambition hasn't changed. She still wants to leave. She's worried about her father. And when she actually got the chance, she left. If you had Stockholm syndrome, you wouldn't have left. You would have stayed there. You would have been like, no, you would have stayed because you really like the character. But she leaves. So when she finds out that her father is dying or that he's in trouble, the Beast lets her go. And she doesn't hesitate. She thanks him and then she just leaves. So she could have stayed there voluntarily, but she didn't. She left. I mean, if she had stayed, then, you know, I would have agreed that is a sign of Stockholm syndrome. But she didn't. And then her father is actually shocked that the Beast actually let her go. And then Belle explains that the Beast has changed. The Beast actually sympathized with Belle, and he saw that she needed to go because she really loved her father, and he knew that her father needed her, and so he let her go. And he even gives her the magic mirror too. So again, that is a case for the Beast having Lima syndrome because he is sympathizing with her. So what I'm trying to say for this point is that she doesn't have Stockholm syndrome because when she got the chance to leave the castle, she did.
Okay, I understand that. So what I'm thinking now is that at that moment when she notices that her father is dying, if the Beast still didn't let her go, like he forbid her not to leave, would she break the rule and still risk going off to save her father?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Yeah, so that would be breaking. He only left because he gave her permission.
No,
I know.
we actually
No.
didn't
But think of
that though.
No,
we
but think of like what if he still didn't let her go, if she did stay, even if he said no, then that's Stockholm syndrome. If he said no and she rebelled and went off, then that's not. So we still don't know even if she had that. So as much as that is great, I mean that does prove that the Beast has changed. We still don't know, like how do I explain it? It's that if he did say yes, she feels really like she admires that. She really feels pleased, happy, and delighted that he let her go. But if he said no, then she would either stayed or she would just rebel. But even that moment, we still didn't see if that was Stockholm syndrome. So I'm just saying that there's no kind of proof if she did or didn't, if that makes sense. If it doesn't,
I disagree. I don't know why we need. I don't know why we need to think about what would have happened if he hadn't, because that is not what happened. We have to base it purely on what happened in the movie, which is he let her go and she went, "Thank you. I am gonna go see my father. Gonna go rescue him. Gonna go make sure he's okay." That's what she did. Oh, sorry, did. That's what she did. So I don't know why we need to think about, you know, what would have happened if the Beast hadn't let her go. Even then, I am like 100% sure if the Beast hadn't let her go, she would have gone. She loves her father that much. She would have gone. I think the one thing that was really stopping her from going was the wolves. She was terrified of the wolves. But I think even then she would have gone.
Would have tried her best.
They have such a close bond. I mean, we see that in the live action one that, you know, Belle only has her father, you know, because her mother died. I mean, we don't really see that in the 1991 version because we don't actually know what happened to her mother. But we can see like how close they are, you know. She even asked him, do you think I'm odd, you know? It's not something I don't think you'd really ask your father, really, I don't think. If you probably ask that to a friend, but she didn't have any friends, so her father was literally like everything for her. So I think she would have risked it for sure.
Now here comes to my other point. Like this is about the second effect. So the victim develops negative feelings towards police or anyone who try to help them or getting away from their capture. So, and there's an example. So there's at least two people who try to rescue her. Is that her father and Gaston? And we all know that Gaston sees Belle as a trophy to win, and I agree with that. And but the thing, when he came to her after he was going to take her father to the asylum, he was forcing her into making a decision whether to marry him to save her father or not. Now, here's an interesting fact. When someone has Stockholm syndrome, if they force the victim to maybe to see about what has become them, like they've been captured or they have to make a quick decision, then they tend to lead away from that person and retreat back to their capture. And that's what kind of Gaston did. He forced a decision at the wrong place at the wrong time, and that kind of made Belle retreat back to her feelings for the beast, made her think more positively towards the beast than to Gaston.
Okay. I don't think we really see that she has negative feelings towards the police or other authorities. You said, hold on, can I just finish before? You said you said that Gaston tried to rescue her, but he didn't. He tried to kill the beast. And he didn't. He only saw that Belle had returned. So in the first place, she wasn't even really there when he was there. So she didn't. He wasn't actually rescuing her. But yeah, you're right. Her father did try, but then he's in cold. He's shivering. Belle says he's dying. That's why the beast let her go. I don't think we actually see that she has negative feelings towards the police or other authorities.
No, but like, I know we're focusing more on the original, but if you remember in the remake,
Yeah.
that Gaston did offer to help Maurice to find Belle.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could say that maybe Gaston maybe was trying to tend to help, like in the remake,
No.
not in the original, not in that way. I mean, this is another link to a point, because this is more for Gaston, not for Belle, but like in the village, everybody viewed Gaston as the hero. So he never identified himself as a hero. He was viewed as a hero. So he didn't really start off as a bad guy. He was just too full of himself, if that makes sense. And what he did, I mean, not really romantic feelings for Belle, but he had somewhat feelings, not in a good way, obsession in a way. So while Belle didn't like return them back, and when Gaston did try to like repeat his question again in a more forceful way, that's when he started pushing Belle more away from him, if that makes sense. And that's what it links to the point that if you force a victim, like a hostage of Stockholm syndrome, like if you convince them to leave a situation they're in, or maybe make them explain about what happened to them, you're basically pushing them away from you, like from the safety that you are trying to give, if that makes sense. I'm just reading it for what I'm highlighting, because I got all the notes and I'm just highlighting all the key points.
Yeah, he does force her. He goes, you can get married to me and then you'll be okay. But in the beginning of the film, she had negative feelings for him at the start anyway. It didn't develop after the castle, after the events of the beast. It was at the start. We saw that plain at the start. It's literally, she's like, who does this man think he is? Me, Mrs. Gaston? Like, not a chance. Like, yes, he does force her to make that decision, but she wants to protect the beast, because she knows because he's literally said the beast is a monster, and everybody's like literally they're all terrified. But she's like, no, he actually, he is scary, but there's more to him than that, which is I think what basically the whole movie is about. It's like, it's more to people than what you just see on the outside. And then, she actually does return to the castle, but she doesn't return to the castle to be a prisoner. She returns to go save the beast because she knows Gaston is going to try and kill him. And she knows the people are going to try and, they're going to try and harm Mrs. Potts, Chip, Lumiere, Cogsworth, whoever else, all of the other people in the castle. So I don't think she would have actually returned to the castle, if there wasn't a reason. And the reason was that the beast was in trouble. And that fault was actually hers. Because, she actually shows it to them. She goes, look, I can prove it to you. Have a look. Here's the beast. And she does that, to save her father, because they all think he's crazy and, they're trying to send him to the asylum. But she only decides to return to the castle when Gaston actually spreads those lies. And then she returns to try and save them. So I don't think so that she does that of her own choice. She could have decided not to, but she actually felt something for the beast. She at that point, I think she wasn't sure that she loved him. I think at that point she was thinking, this is a guy who doesn't deserve that. There is more to him than that. And so she decides to go back. So I don't think that really shows that she has Stockholm syndrome. I think that just shows that, she views the beast as a friend and she's trying to save them. Okay, so Belle is not actually with the beast all the time. She actually gets a chance to spend time on her own. So the beast tells her that she can wander anywhere around the castle except the West Wing, which, is his personal place. He doesn't want her there. And he also gives her her own room. He doesn't let her stay in the dungeon or in the prison downstairs. The dungeon, isn't it? And he also sends servants to wait on her. So she actually, she's not exactly a prisoner. She's sort of a prisoner. I mean, I don't. So basically, the point I'm trying to make is that as they're not really spending time together all the time. She gets her time, on her own, and so because of that, it's more unlikely that Stockholm syndrome would develop. Because if she was to spend all of her time with him, then sure, that it's more likely to develop. But as there is, they do spend time apart, and and then when they get closer and closer to each other, they do spend more time together. But I mean, we don't really see the duration. We don't really know how much time she's in the castle for, because it is a movie, so everything's sort of sped up. But yeah, so they aren't really spending a lot of time together, so it's really unlikely that Stockholm syndrome would develop.
Okay, can I just give you one little argument? I just thought of this now. Okay, say like for me, if I was sent to prison for like 30 years and it was horrible, it's like those kind of like bad prison cells that you see on television or that. But say like my jailer was being really nice to me and he gave me like a pillow, good food, nice clothing, and I would appreciate that, but I would still feel bad because I'm still trapped in a place for the next years or so. And while I do feel like I'm having a more friendly encounter with him, I feel like I'm still not getting anywhere. And while Belle is getting a more connection, she's only doing it because he's being too nice to her. He's wooing her with all these nice stuff he's giving to her.
Yeah, her attitude definitely does change. Her attitude only changes when his attitude changes. She's not the first person who is nice. She sees he's the one who has to make that first move, and when he makes that first move, she's like, oh, he's not actually a beast. There's more to him than that. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I personally would say, she did, it wasn't too bad like the conditions she had, but of course that's from my point of view, because I'm not in her position, I'm watching it on a screen. But of course for her, she's probably dreading it. She's not liking it. And I think she eventually does go to like it. I'm not sure I would say she goes to love it, because she's still apart from her father. But I would say she goes to like it because of the company, because she gets to have a look at different interests. So she gets to go on that adventure. I mean, in the live action one, we see that he has that book, and she gets to travel to the past where she gets to see what happened to her mum. So the next one is that Belle actually doesn't care about her survival, or she doesn't change her attitude about her survival. So Stockholm syndrome usually develops when the hostage is desperate to survive. So they'd do anything to survive. So they'd agree to anything. They're very complacent. But we see that actually Belle isn't. She stands up for what she wants, and she's not. And he's like, "Calm down for dinner." She's like, "No, I'm not. You're keeping me captive here. You're scaring me. I'm in this new place. It's my first day, and you want me to have dinner with you? Are you joking?" We can actually see that Belle actually isn't desperate to survive. If she was, she wouldn't have gone to look for her father. So she goes into the woods, and it's cold, it's freezing, and there could be animals around. I mean, later on we do see there's wolves. She actually goes into the woods, so she doesn't care about her survival at that point. She's more worried about her father. She just wants to try and find her father. Again, she decided to stay in place of her father. If she was concerned for her survival, she wouldn't have stayed. She would have gone, "No, I'm out of here. Bye." She refused to obey his demand for her to have dinner with him. She doesn't, if she did have Stockholm syndrome, she would have gone, "Yes, I'm coming. I don't want you to get angry at me." Okay. And then later on, she broke the beast's rule to stay out of the West Wing. I mean, that was his only rule, and she broke it. She doesn't care that there will be consequences, because she knows as soon as he says stay out of the West Wing, she knows that there's something going on in that West Wing, and she's like, "Oh, what is going on in there? What is in the West Wing? Why does he want me out of there?" So we can see that when she actually does go into the West Wing, and then the beast follows her in, and he sees her, and he's really violent towards her. He's smashing stuff, like you said. We can see that she doesn't actually start crying or anything. She doesn't go, "Please, please, please, have mercy on me. Forgive me. I'm so sorry. I did not know what I was doing. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have come in here." But she actually doesn't do that. She actually just head straight out of the room, out of the castle, and she just runs. She doesn't stop. She runs. She doesn't care about her survival at that point. She doesn't care that the beast, he might follow her. He might rip her into pieces, because that is what we would all think the beast would do, because we didn't know that he's actually different inside. But she actually just leaves. She runs. So what I'm trying to say is that she actually isn't desperate to survive. If she was desperate to survive, she would have she would have tried to agree to his demands. She wouldn't have just gone, "No, I'm not going to listen to him. I'm just going to do whatever I want."
Yeah, that's true. You're right. But though, what argue one point though, when she did went to the West Wing, and she saw him like breaking stuff, threatening her, she was running for her life, because she realized, like, if he's continue like being this violent monster, then he might hurt her at one point, or possibly kill her. That's why she would run. She was running for her life. She was running for survival, because she knew if she was going to stay there any longer, she's going to get herself hurt or worse. So that was technically a survival decision.
I get that, but I would say that also in that point, because he does go, "You're my prisoner. You have to stay here." So she does run for her survival, like you said, but at the same time, she should have stayed in the castle, because that's what he said. So she actually does run for her own freedom. But if she was in the castle, and she was, and if the beast was gonna, because the beast could have chased after her. She doesn't know. She doesn't know what he's capable of. I mean, it's still quite early days. So in that point, yeah, she does run for her own survival, but she doesn't actually stay there. she's not frightened of the Beast or anything, as most people would have been. I know myself, if I had gone to the West Wing and the Beast follows me in and he's like, what are you doing? I told you to stay out of here. And he gets mad and he, you know, throws stuff around the room and he's like slashing stuff and, you know, frightening her. I know I would have, I don't know if I would have run away. I probably would have gone, forgive me, I'm so sorry, please don't. You know, I think she's like really brave, you know, she just ran straight out of the door into the wolves. I mean, yeah. So I think I agree. I think there are two sides to that survival. So the side of survival where she tries to change her attitude so that she can survive the Beast, and then her own survival as in like getting out of the castle. And she actually leaves the castle. So if she did have Stockholm syndrome, she wouldn't have left the castle.
She would have been trying everything in her power to make him forgive her.
Okay. Yeah, just one more point. There's this Emma Watson who was Belle from the live action version. And she actually gave an interview and she put her own she did her own research.
I heard about this.
Yeah, so she put her own research into it, and you know, someone asked her, you know, what do you think? Does Belle actually have Stockholm syndrome? And this is what she says. Stockholm syndrome is where a prisoner will take on the characteristics of and fall in love with a captor. Belle actively argues and disagrees with him constantly. She has none of the characteristics of someone with Stockholm syndrome because she keeps her independence. She keeps her independence of mind. I mean, I think that really does sum up what I've been trying to say. She does argue. We see that. She doesn't agree to him all the time. She's not scared of him or anything. I mean, even, you know, at that point when the Beast, you know, saves her and then, you know, he's like unconscious, he's like really hurt, and she could have left. But she didn't because she saw that someone was hurt, you know? So even then, at that point, I don't think it was about, you know, Stockholm syndrome at that point. I don't think it was about, you know, oh no, I should just return him because, you know, that's because I love him or whatever the feelings of Stockholm syndrome would be at that point. But it wasn't that. It was actually that she saw that he was hurt and he had saved her. You know, she felt, what is going on? Surely he would have just left her to die, but he didn't. So we can see that there is that turning point in that story where she actually sees that he's changing. And then from then on, we actually see that, you know, he actually sees that there's something different to her. And I think something we've got to remember is that at the beginning, you know, when he's like really violent and stuff, that's just the way he has been. I mean, how long has he even been in that castle as a beast? I mean, we don't really know, to be honest. It could have been 1 year, it could have been 20 years, it could have been 300 years. I mean, we don't really know.
That depends. Are you talking about the original or the remake?
Both. Well, I'm just generalizing.
No, in the original, they think it's 10 years. Because they mentioned in the song, Be Our Guest, like 10 years we've been rusting, leaving so much more than dusting. So yeah, it's 10 years. He's been that way. Yeah. He's been a heavy monster for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, and then, you know, he had picked up those characteristics and then the lack of, you know, the lack of his normality, like being a beast, you know, it's different. So yeah, I just think Emma Watson herself, after playing Belle, and then she says this, I think that really does back up the point that I'm trying to make, that Belle doesn't have Stockholm syndrome.
Thank you all for watching our video. Make sure to check our last debate video, which was on a Marvel one, should T'Challa be recast? And make sure to check out other debate videos and other generic ones. Just make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and leave a comment below what you think, and stay tuned for our next video on Harry Potter. Bye.
Bye.